you get to see what people react and feedback, maybe, possibly. So I thought about, I'm gonna do something very new story. I came up with this story about 7 days ago, a week ago. And let's see how it goes. And this involves with origami, paper folding. Ori means to fold, gami means paper. You can fold it in a different way, and even one simple pattern can take you to different shape. And the possibility is infinite.
Wow.
So my next story is to try out about my Lotus origami flower. And that had a huge impact when I was growing up in Osaka, Japan. And I grew up in a very rough part of Japan. The decayed buildings and narrow streets exhale the garbage. Oof. That to my walkways. And that's how my everyday began. We bike to our school every day. We bike to everywhere by bicycle. And we were rough teenagers. And we were part of the filth. We didn't know better when the Yakuza street gangs harassed us for our lunch money. Me and my friends fought back. And I thought we were like a Power Rangers. I wish my town was more peaceful, cleaner. But my town was like this. Wrinkled, dirty paper I could even step on. I wished I made new shape, a new fold to see changes, wish to see changes. By keep folding into a different shape, like house, or to some kind of square way. And I really wished to see people from east, south, west, from all over, make changes with better demeanor. But you know, it doesn't work that way. Hey, look! My friend Masayo, one day on the way to our middle school, she stopped her bike and shouted, "Mite, mite! Hey, look! That was a swamp across the school gate. Very filthy. It used to be a creek, but polluted by the factories. And we really trashed it out with throwing candy wrappers saw the pop cans into it, and leftover octopus dumplings, and they were like a big dark poo. That's what we called it. Hey, 見て見て、すっごい綺麗、beautiful. Masayo shouted again. Masayo, you said beautiful? There's nothing beautiful about that swamp. She grabbed me and she made me see what she was talking about. I went closer to what she was looking at. It was a lotus flower. It took me a while to see, but beautiful white lotus flower rising up from the mud. How could such a beautiful thing grow out of such a filth? How could that be? Can I be? A special feeling unfolded in me. A courage. Can I be like you? Can I be like you? Rise up from the mud and blossom even when my world is as rough as it could be? I departed afar with that feeling. 40 years later, 4 decades later, that feeling is all wrinkled up. I don't have it anymore. I don't even remember the sensation of it. Can I have that back? Can I fold that back into me? So I started folding lotus origami flower, origami lotus flowers. So every day I make it, hoping I get that feeling back to me. And you know what? Origami is like prayers. It's coming back to me. So please join me if you like to make lotus. Lotus flower is so loved, adored in Asia. But maybe, will you? If you like to do that, I have a table in the back. Ross gave me a nice table so we can fold the lotus. And let's do it like something interactive storytelling manners. So you make it and then send that to me, to my email or to my Instagram, and then we'll be connected. We'll be connected, and I wonder how it goes, because the storytelling is not only one form. You know that. You can tell the story to your kid or to your friend, and you are chatting on the lunch table. You might be telling your story. Oh, last night I went to the bar, and there was a very strange man who was wearing the green wig and pretend like octopus or something like that, or whatever the story you might be telling. And you might be telling a story to make changes to speech. Sometimes you make speech, and then that can change the world, that can change something. And you might be teacher, you might be teaching the class, and then you change kids' life. They get to know more about things, and then they got to know you how to grow up. Yeah? Is there any different storytelling form you can think of?
Song.
Song. And you sing a song, and then that song will be all connect. That's a good one. So that means dance too, yeah? And anybody else? Anything else? Even business, isn't it? You are really trying to convince your customer how good your stuff is, and then how proud you are, and then show your pride, and then show your hard work. And then as a customer, you will say, well, I don't like your product. Go away. You can't say that. You have to say, oh, this is not so good. Well, it's really bad, but how can I tell you? I used it yesterday, but and then you have to tell the story, right? So the story is everywhere. So I hope we come up with those stuff to make our world better. And Ross, shall we do the question and answer?
Yeah. Do we have any questions for Kuniko about her storytelling, how she's developed her style, or?
That question. That was very well posed. What inspired? When did you know you were going to be a storyteller? What inspired you to start telling stories? Your stories.
When I was in middle school, that happened to me, and it's in a different form. And then my very original one was in middle school. I belonged to a community theater, and we were doing a Romeo and Juliet. So I went to the theater to do the rehearsal after school, and I went to a wrong theater. And then I was sitting, and then empty stage was just in front of me. And then I was almost sitting there thinking about Romeo and Juliet, how the line goes and how the people move and then what kind of effect. And I was all dreaming. And then 3 hours just passed like nothing. And then I was stunned because I have a little bit of ADHD. I can't stay still. I had trouble. I was a very troubled teenager because I was always moving. I can't stay still. So that was my problem. But I was there, nailed in the chair, and then in the seat, and then looking at my stage, thinking about Romeo and Juliet, whole 3 hours. Nobody came, no interaction, nothing. And then I was just like that. And then that time, I really felt this is my thing. So I wanted to pursue theater. And I was involved with dance as well. So maybe become a dancer or something, theater. And then storytelling in Japan is very, very at-home thing. We don't categorize storytelling as a performance. So I didn't know storytelling at all. I got to know this when I came to the United States. My first time was 1985. After graduate college, I wanted to study more about theater and then become a performer. So I came to the study with Tony Montanaro, who is a great actor, great pantomime, and he told me to do some storytelling because he wanted to hear my heritage, my story really come out instead of faking Western style. I wanted to be like a Hollywood. I wanted to be like Madonna and Michael Jackson, that's my time. And I dreamed about it. And then he said, no, do your Japanese thing. And I didn't know how to do it. And then he helped me. He asked me to do the Japanese folk tales. And then that was my first folk tale was the omusubi coloring. Omusubi coloring is the rice dumpling just run by itself. And then her adventure begins. So that was a story. And then when I did it, I got the standing ovation at the theater. at his theater. So I thought maybe I should do a little bit of that, and then a little bit became a lot. A little bit became like my money, making living. And then to make it, I wanted to make it more fun, so I used a lot of line and masks and origami, and I do a little bit of magic because I'm married to a professional magician.
I think she's married to one of the best in the country. I was going to ask if anyone noticed, as she was telling the story, the amount of pantomime or mime involved in her storytelling.
Yes.
She's already covered that.
Yes.
But you see how important that is to storytelling, and how often we neglect to put it in. And Kuniko always brings home that lesson. It's one of the reasons why I really wanted her to be our guest teller this time.
Oh, thank you.
I'm so pleased with it. But let me tell you a private story about Kuniko. Going back a few years, we were doing a storytelling event. And Kuniko had the courage to stand up and tell a story about a relative. Well, those of you who know me know that I do tell stories about veterans and the universality of the combat experience, the universality of service experience. It really doesn't matter which side you're on. If you live long enough, you get past all the political dribble, and the commonality of experiences rings true on whichever side, good or bad. You can make subjective judgments as to evil, good, but the experience of a man or a woman in combat is the same. And she told the story of her uncle, who was a Japanese pirate. And with the telling of that story, which alienated a couple of people in the audience, as she knew it would, she so endeared herself to me that I have prized our friendship ever since.
Oh, thank you.
Because those common stories are the only thing that can hold us together, particularly when the world is the way it is today. And for anyone who's ever suffered from PTSD, they have a special understanding of what I say. So, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. And that story, stays in such a special place because that was a huge learning element. Because I was born after the World War II, but my uncle was a soldier, and so he told me some stories. So I'm not gonna do that here, but I asked a bunch of questions. One of the questions I asked was like, so uncle, that now I'm in the United States, I live in the States, and then I'm married to an American, and what do you think about American? Because you fought against America. And then he was like, he did this. What are you talking about? I was a warrior and I did my duty. They did their duties. No difference.
Yeah. For those who don't understand, there's a world of difference between the grunt and the political powers. So, anyway, Kuniko, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And
Now, let's take, what time is it, Jim?